the shores of Moonshae's whisper, where the ancient tides do sigh, stands a village lost in shadows, 'neath the moon's eternal eye. Tales of druids, queens, and monsters linger in the salty breeze.
Hamster. A miniature giant space hamster.
Oh no. Here we go.
Anything can happen in the Moonshaes, right?
The dancing dew worms. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's the new band. No. Oh dear. And now you see the danger of coming on this show. No, we sidetrack like
my
you
notes.
wouldn't believe. Yeah.
Song Dragon has a cat.
There you go. And to put a mark through troglodyte and giant.
But no
space
trogs.
hamsters.
No trogs. Yeah.
No space hamsters either.
So,
Probably not.
So what do you think of say the giants of the D&D game as it now is? We haven't seen the new, so we're talking 5th edition giants. How do they regard the Moonshaes? Would they settle there? Would they have a large presence there?
Well, with Doug Niles, we canonically have history of the Furbolgs, which have gone through a variety of shifts through the editions to the point where the current Furbolgs, we would have to say the Moonshaes are either a different culture almost than what is in the current book, but use the same stats. We've also made heavy use of the Fomorians from 3rd edition forward of being Fey corrupted giants, and they are certainly a lot of fun to have, especially when we started talking about the Deep Shays, which could also have entrances to the Fey Dark. So you have connections down there. We haven't really touched on them as much in the previous campaigns, other than the Slain was making use of them as convenient fodder and combatants, but we haven't really dove into the giants yet, and there's a lot of stories there that can be had. But I don't know if the Moonshae giants would fall into the standard fire giant, frost giant. I would kind of lean towards more of the oddball giants, like the Furbolg and the Fomorians, and possibly stone giants.
Okay.
Maybe more of the frost up north among the Northlanders.
Yeah,
like
you're back in the same problem that the Moonshaes is weird and it's crowded and there's lots of stories to tell and there's lots of critters, and who do you foreground? And being as you have the Lachey there, and that's a whole other can of worms to
we had to limit them.
Yeah.
We had to say there's 5. Because they're
because
so powerful. And we broke down that like they were the physical embodiment of a drop of Chlorellin Lorethian's blood under the 5e system of it, and the ones that fell down into the Feywild to escape the kinslaying between Arashne and Chlorellin, according to the 5e lore, not the realms lore. We're trying to thread the needle a little bit on that.
Well, that is the way to do it. Make them thin on the ground, because that takes away the Moonshaes is close to the mainland, but it's its own place. Let's have this be where the Lachey breed, where they have their happy hunting ground, where they have their families, and then you're going no, because it's a can of worms you've opened. So yeah.
We did go with the idea that children of Lachey aren't Lachey. They're Eladrin, because only the actual blood of Corellin would form a Lachey, which means they technically can't really be killed unless you can somehow destroy a drop of a god's blood, which is going to take some doing. And even if you destroy their form, they just return to the Feywild and reform over a century.
And hold a grudge against you and come
Oh
back.
God, yeah,
Yeah.
they are excellent grudge holders. Long
Okay.
walks on the beach, drinking tequila and holding grudges.
Yes, I can see it now. Excuse me, Lord Corellan. I just need a drop of your blood, if I may.
One.
It's time for your checkup. I'll just be drawing a little blood.
So far, I think we've foregrounded two of them. A Wraith and actually no, three. There was High Lady Ordolf, her son, a Wraith, and then her niece, Shifra. And I was trying to make their names as weird as possible and drawing more from the Irish phonemes than Welsh to make them a little bit different from what was going on in amongst the folk, but at the same time keeping them kind of related because the Moonshaes or the Earth Mother influences the folk, which is where I figured they were getting a lot of their language from as well, and just trying to keep it in the family. But
Nice.
so three of them, and we've already lost one, so we're down to two, and one of them is the one getting married.
And what happens
Yes.
when they get married?
This
Okay, no, I don't mean like what happens in the campaign, because that would be telling. What I mean is, should they live happily ever after? You know, like we read in all the fairy tales. And they lived happily ever after. Until next week when I have to write a new story. You know. And they have children. With whom are they having children with if this union goes ahead?
I have ideas. I don't know if Savannah's on the same page with me on all of them, but I was thinking through this idea that a wraith, as Lachey, finds the mortal world slightly uncomfortable. There's too much change. It's not magical enough. And he doesn't really want to stay forever in Corridor in Serafall. He wants to return back to the Feywild. But at the same time, he knows that a lot of his followers, his people, love the Moonshaes because they love the change and the mortals. It's intoxicating. New stories, they can change things because stuff doesn't change in fairy, according to them. It's always the same. Chaotic,
Right. So
yes, but they need a mortal to actually change anything because the Forgotten Realms, the material is the changing world. And so they find it like an incredible buzz and they
yeah,
love it.
they can get a sense of achievement because they can change things. They can leave their mark. They can make a legacy, and they can't in the Feywild.
Yes. And so this is a long-term Wraith thought he needed to have someone who would act as as in his stead to be the lord or lady of Carador, of Serafall, that he could entrust to rule Serafall when he departs, to look after all of his people, all the wee fair folk that would remain behind. And he needs to make peace with the biggest mortal power here, which would be House Kendrick.
So is he producing somebody to look after Serafall, or is he marrying someone to look after Serafall? Ah, I have ggone too far. Okay, and Savannah's
That is an interesting question.
Yeah.
Will it be Terlin, canonically in our storyline, Terlin has watched over Carador for a while. And we had that be like my behind the screen thinking of that one is because he was testing her out, giving her a trial run to see if she would what she would do.
Oh, what a rogue. Okay. So, now is the groom or putative groom, don't want to get ahead of ourselves here. Is he planning to persuade his wife to go to the Feywild with him? Or is he going to deceive her? Or is he going to promise, we'll go back and forth, honey. It'll be part of the year here and part of the year there. Has he even mentioned it to her? Or is this in the back of his mind? I'm going to do this whether this mortal wants to or not.
So it hasn't been broached yet.
Ah.
But Carador does shift between the planes.
Yes.
So technically they could do a timeshare situation
Men
between
were
their families.
deceivers ever.
Oh, Persephone.
But also he has all the time he wants. He's eternal, right? What is a human's lifespan to him?
Oh,
really?
Dear. Oh, dear. I will merely quote Elminster. Oh, and how long is forever this time?
To which the song dragon would say, an awfully long time.
Okay, yes.
And, I mean, that might be somebody else that's putting him and says, like, yeah, sure, I'll marry her. What's going to last? 100 years? And that's over in a blink of
I'm
an
not
eye
going to
for
go
him.
there as somebody who wore out his
But-
wife.
But also, will he grow attached and decide, I want it to be more than 100 years? And how far will he go to secure that? The story could go either way.
Sure.
Remember, this is a human custom, and humans
Yes.
are change.
Yes.
It could go either way. He could decide he wants to shorten his life to be with her.
Oh, now there's a twist. Yeah, we were thinking the other way, but yeah. Okay. And
Interesting
so,
way. I hadn't considered it. Hold on, let me write that down.
Yeah. See, this is what we do here. We design worlds.
That's right. That's right.
Which is a very, very highfalutin way of saying when Eddie enters the kitchen for the first time and doesn't know how to cook, he opens the joy of cooking, or Julia Child's, whatever, and he follows the recipe very carefully because he doesn't know what he's doing. And when his grandma or one of his aunts walks into the kitchen, they don't need a recipe. They just pinch of this, pick of that. What do we got in the larder? Do this. Throw it all together. Food caroms around the room, falling off the cupboards and into bowls as if by magic. And X amount of time later, a wonderful meal comes out. And the old men of the family, as they stuff their faces and hold out their plates for more, say, oh, this is pretty good. Oh, how'd you do it? Oh, a little this, a little that.
Little that.
Oh, I'd like it again tomorrow. Oh, no, it'll never be the same. So there's different ways of being in the kitchen. How do you like to approach it if humans are changed?
You're the Delta. Every time human shows up, it's going to go sideways.
Yeah. Yeah, I've driven cars like that.
Yeah. I started last one. You want to start this one, Savannah?
If it's, I love a good romance.
Aww.
But I also love a good horror story. So really, in my mind, I think we're not quite there yet to make a solid decision. I think it's going to be heavily impacted on how the story flows as we continue into next year, and also how the players respond to it, and what we see on the game floor.
You can have a romance that is a horror story.
That's very true.
That's right. I mean, what do you think Dracula is? Come on.
Oh, that's been done.
Oh, I know.
Well, we also have the issue that our players get to have a say in this too.
Yeah.
Yes,
And
player agency.
We have a really devious way of incorporating their input.
Which
if they play through all 8 adventures of Promise of Blossoms, they get to, as they go through it, they're essentially becoming one wedding organizers for it, as they are being trying to bring all the factions together and deal with all the different opposing viewpoints, and also dealing with the mother of the bride, the father of the bride. Wraith has Shifra. That's about it, because of the nature of who he is, and then the wedding itself. And there's going to be lots of points during that where the players can make adjustments and can
Okay.
change how
So
people.
this is learning on the job experience, becoming veterans of wedding organization, not there is no more mom.
Royal wedding organization, because royal weddings are an event. It's like going to be a month. They're going to party for a month.
Oh, the hangovers.
Mhm.
Oh, the portable toilets. Oh,
we had to borrow. We borrowed your Amcathras
uh-huh.
because our queen
Are
is
you going to put them back?
mostly. They're bringing wedding gifts. So many wedding gifts they couldn't teleport. They have to take a ship because they couldn't get all the stuff through the teleport.
Oh dear.
And
I
most
can
of it
see
is
which
all
way this is heading.
And talked about with the other sages, and we said, well, as long as you keep them distant and don't mess with anything on the mainlands, you'll probably be okay. But I don't think Wizards has done much with them Cathras in the past
No, they haven't.
15
No.
years.
No.
So I was like going to have, she Kefri is like a minor cousin, 25th away from head of the house, that sort of thing. But they're all really rich, so rich, and that's something the Moonshaes is not.
Right.
That just means you haven't found it yet.
That is true. Or pulled it out of the ground, or
Yes.
well, the dwarves are up to. But
Yes.
most of the Moonshaes is very rural and
Mhm.
agrarian, and with pastures, and so they just don't have the massive amounts of wealth like a Waterdehavian merchant family would have.
Well, yes, but I should remind you that Flamstead had a problem with his plumbing, and when Elminster was visiting, Elminster said, "Why does that garderobe stink?" And all that one, the others are luxury long drops. That one has a bit of a bend in the pipe, so the gases, the odors, and Elminster just uprooted the toilet bowl and bent it, and then put it back and said, "There, it should work now." And Flamster said, "How did you do that?" And Elminster said, "It's easy. It's solid gold. It's soft like butter." So I'm just saying you might want to look at a few more of your toilet bowls.
I would counter that with Flamstead is not known for sharing.
Well, there's that, yeah. But he might not be sitting on the only golden toilet bowl. That's all I'm saying.
We do, we do have our Norrels up in Norland. They do like their gold,
and
they're
up
very
in Norland.
sticky.
Remember they used to drink lots of strong spirits from the skulls of their foes, the upturned, jawbone removed skulls of their foes. Well, if you just try and drink from the skull, water, the liquid, pours out of all sorts of, where the nose used to be, where the eye sockets are, where the big hole where the hinge of the jaw. So you fill those with things.
I'm learning a lot about Ontario customs.
Yes. And
you didn't tell me about this part, Savannah.
Yeah, well, what do you fill all the holes in the skull with?
Chewing gum?
No,
gold.
Gemstones.
Yes, golden gems. So just saying. And they had to get that from somewhere. Just saying.
I assume they stole it from the Omnish.
Okay, well,
part of our ongoing joke about why the Kendricks need all of this wealth to come over from the mainland is, I don't know if you're all familiar with how much gold an adventurer gets in tier 3.
yes.
But we decided at the end of last season, the Kendricks had to pay so many adventurers that they're a little money poor right now.
Oh,
We were tempted to put in like an adventurer's tax on everybody on the Moonshaes in order to pay the exorbitant amounts that were being handed out. But we decided, that might be a bit too
Well,
antagonistic.
I mean, you could.
That's not necessarily our canon, but that's our personal joke about it.
Well, why don't you do the route of they print their own money, or okay, they mint their own money.
their own money.
They make
Yeah.
an agreement with the right dwarven clan, and they mint their own money. But then you have the inflation problem.
Ooh.
You see, there's something that we've never done in canon. I've done it in gross terms, as in it's wartime, so a ruler restricts what you can spend money on because he wants you as the populace buying horses, so there are more and more in the country, and buying draft beasts so he can pull carts. But he doesn't want unauthorized purchases of bulk weapons because it's wartime. He wants to know where and so we've had those gross ones where there's a royal decree, but we haven't done the insidious ones of, hey, if there's suddenly money all over the place, up and down the Sword Coast, for instance, how does that affect prices? Is there inflation, or does it cause a lowering of prices because there's all sorts of people competing to provide you with, there's the difference in food prices, which is a natural scarcity or abundance. Like we had a good harvest, so the price of corn goes through the floor, versus, okay, we're all competing to sell salt cellars and pepper mills. So I can produce them more cheaply than this guy. Yeah, but I can get slave labor from over here. So, but that sort of thing. What is that? How does that affect your prices? So we've never done the inflation thing. Just say it. There's another little thing to drop
That's
into the pot to stir.
that's great for home play. Unfortunately, we're organized play and our hands are tied on how much things cost.
Oh, I had no idea
Oh,
organized play was bondage. Okay.
Oh, yes, it is. The other one is if I could get away with it, I would totally have done this in the Planescape. I thought prices in Sigil should be 10% more on everything. Just move the decimal point over by one. Oh, you want a beer? That's 20 gold pieces. You want a night in the inn here in Sigil? That's 150 gold pieces.
right.
And
Oh, but why would that be? Because
guys, it's
the lady, the lady of Ouch,
uh-huh.
um, is controlling what goes in and out.
Mm-hmm.
But she needs stuff. So she's going to need an intrepid crew of transport engineers, her very own FedEx, shall we put it. And once she set up her very own FedEx, then they're going to say, what's in it for me? And what that would mean is they can use Sigil as a transfer point. So why wouldn't prices be lower? Because you
I
could source
was
all the
quoting
world.
from my Nebraska relatives the first time they come to Washington, D.C., and they see the cost of living here, and they go,
Ah, yes, yeah. That
um, and how much, whenever you have that dense a population in a place like Sigil that makes nothing, its only value is as a meeting ground, market town, meeting place.
very
Everything
good.
from everywhere. And when you have that many people all crammed in there, boy, the way they describe that sounds like Victorian London.
Yep.
Mhm.
Zeb Cook was laying it out. It's like, I know this place. The hole in the
Minus
world is a big black pit. It's Sweeney Todd.
minus the sewage in the streets and
Right.
cholera from every pump.
Oh, it's like prices are going to be sky high here.
Ah, okay. I
That
just
was what
wanted
I
to
got
see
it from.
because I'm thinking the one thing that's different is you really do have in and out privileges. I realize the lady of Ouch is controlling them, but they do exist. She's keeping the door shut, but it is the city of doors, as opposed to if it's Victorian London, you're at the epicenter of very long sea voyages with built-in costs.
With how many people are there, I figure they've got to have a giant portal that goes to some farmlands in Arborea or something, and they're just bringing in wagon trains upon wagon trains of wheat, and because it's the only way you're going to keep this place fed or in beer.
And tons of poo are going the other direction to fertilize the fields. Yeah. Okay.
So I figured there'd be massive gates in Sigil in order to accommodate this level of food for poo transfer.
So do you see any large centers like that developing in the Moonshaes? Not the City of Doors, but I mean, are you picturing any large urban centers developing in the Moonshaes, or is the very nature of it going to keep it sort of the way it is now?
Village lost shadows linger neath the moon's eternal eye. Tales of druids, queens, and monsters, salty breeze, ships and seas, swallowed whole, not forgotten, ever hungry, stormy plea, Lorcan howls beneath the heather, echoes through the misty night. Oh, secrets held. La 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 la, la 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 la.